Happy Friday, everyone. And again, thanks for joining us on your Friday afternoon to learn more about Activate and about us. So we'll go on ahead and get started. Today's agenda is going to be pretty short and simple. We have a little section about meeting the team, or me and Rick. We're going to talk about how we engage with organizations nationwide to really get the message out about the Activate Fellowship. We're going to talk about ways that we assist you year round with different events and different ways of engaging in various different ways. And then finally, we'll wrap up with different ways how you can prepare now in preparation for applications opening in the fall. And then we'll open it up to you all, as always, for Q&A. Again, just another reiteration that we are recording this meeting. It is for internal and external purposes. Internally, we do use it just to review. Externally, we do post these webinars on YouTube, just so others, as they learn more about the program and are looking for additional resources, we like to have this available on YouTube. During the Q&A, if you feel uncomfortable answering your question at all, you're always welcome to ask your question in the chat. But if you do want to ask your question live, you're more than welcome to leave your video off if you feel uncomfortable, again, in asking it just live by speaker. Alternatively, we welcome you also to share your video as well if you would like to see us. And then finally, just a note to please speak about whatever you're most comfortable with. If you want to leave certain things about your technology or your innovation private, that is completely understandable. And we're always available after the call, but we'll talk about that if you have any additional questions that you can send us. All right. Well, with that being said, welcome and meet your Activate recruitment team. I will go first. My name is Kerrigan Turner. I am the outreach associate here at Activate. My role primarily is split into kind of two buckets, is the way I like to think about it. On one hand, I am your point of contact or liaison for any university engagement, organizational engagement, really looking for the opportunities and ways that we can recruit and find more science entrepreneurs like yourself. And in the other bucket, once we get interested science entrepreneurs who want to commercialize their technology, well, I help Rick in finding and exploring different ways and different strategies to keep you all engaged, make sure you're getting all of the resources and you're really getting a good holistic approach and information about the Activate Fellowship in preparation for your application submission in the fall. I am the former fellowship and recruitment intern, so my journey to Activate is a little special. I've been here about a year and a half, and again, as I say, I started out as the intern. Really didn't know anything about the climate tech innovation research space at all. Thought this was a great opportunity for me to kind of pivot into something new because I absolutely love the environment. And as a former small business consultant, the daughter of a serial entrepreneur, entrepreneurs have always been near and dear to my heart. So I figured that this was the perfect way for me to bridge some of my personal passions, I guess, but also professional interest into this role. And I'm so glad that I decided to stay through the entire internship, transferred to start another internship and kind of do some project management and consultant work, and then decided that recruitment was ultimately my baby, and I wanted to come back to be full-time to support operationalizing and improving our recruitment processes here at Activate. With that being said, I'll pass it along. Well, one more thing, I'm in Alabama. I'm a part of the national team as well, so not in any one of the in-residence communities. With that being said, I'll pass it on along to you, Rick.
Great, thanks, Kerrigan. And it's been so fun working with Kerrigan over the past couple of years, seeing her grow and really taking on this role and really supporting all of our great applicants for the program who then become our great fellows. She's just really a pleasure to work with. So if you ever get the chance to interact with her even more after this webinar, you're in for a treat. She's great. So I'm Rick Kopinski. I am the director for fellowship recruitment here at Activate. I've been here for about 2 years. And like I said, I'm in Washington, D.C. So my career has actually been, for the past 20 years or so, been working in fellowship management specifically around, mostly before Activate, working with the federal government. So I started at a nonprofit called the American Society for Engineering Education, where I managed several postdoctoral fellowship programs for the Department of Defense, placing postdoctoral researchers in labs across the country, for the Naval Research Labs, as well as our Air Force Labs, and placing summer faculty at research labs as well across the country. That organization also managed the NSF Graduate Research Fellowship Program, so some of you might be familiar with that. But I kind of learned how to work with fellowship and scholarship programs in graduate funding opportunities as well for scientists and engineers. After that, I moved over to the American Association for the Advancement of Science, where I worked on a program called the Science and Technology Policy Fellowship Program. That's where that program brings scientists and engineers to the federal government, being placed in about 17 federal agencies, as well as on Capitol Hill with a member of Congress or a committee, to kind of learn to bring their policy, to bring their scientific expertise to help inform policymakers on making sound decisions based on science. I was there during the Obama years, which was really pro-science and really so we grew our fellowship and really got to see a lot of great growth within the federal agencies as well as on Capitol Hill in that program. Really exciting time for that. And it's really where I was there for almost a decade. So it was a really great formative program for me to really learn how to best work with scientists and engineers who are looking to do something other than just stay in academia or stay at a lab. I think just like the Activate Fellowship, it's a different career pathway that a lot of scientists and engineers haven't thought of. And so I think that there's a huge connection between my past experience there and what I learned there and brought it to Activate. Before I did that, I worked at the Partnership for Public Service, which is also another nonprofit here in DC, where I set up a cybersecurity talent initiative, which was basically placing cybersecurity, early career cybersecurity talent within a dozen federal agencies. Cybersecurity is a huge issue right now, and we don't have we have so many open roles, both in the public and private sector in that field. And so it was really important for the federal government to be at the forefront of getting some really great talent. And I was really excited about the work we did on setting up that program, and it's still in existence today. And then I moved over to Activate. It's great. It's a great program. Like I said, it's just a huge, really easy connection from all of my past experiences, and really building a program that is going to have a big impact on society. The fellows are our focus. We really do care about not just the company succeeding, but you as an individual succeeding. And so Kerrigan and I are at the forefront of that. We're the ones who are really here to find the people who have that science entrepreneurship mindset, and who are interested in going this different career pathway that maybe you haven't thought of before. And we want to make sure that the folks who are interested are coming with different perspectives, are really diverse in every aspect. Racial, ethnicity, as well as gender diversity is really important for us. So we really want to make sure that everyone knows about this opportunity, knows that it's out there, and really help them see themselves as the CEO of your own startup. It's risky and it's scary and it's different than what your training has told you to do, but we want to tell you that it is possible. And then we have tons of success stories, and really look forward to helping you get there if that is the pathway that you're looking for. So happy to answer any questions at the end about my background, but really excited for this conversation today and to start the journey with you all to get you to apply to the Activate Fellowship. Kerrigan, back to you.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Rick. Alrighty, so just to kind of recap, what are we here for? The Activate Recruitment team is here to lead and facilitate in-person and virtual convenings to provide information and answers to your frequently asked questions about the program to those who are interested. Long story short, that is one of our main reasons to really support you as you're thinking about applying, as you're going to apply. We want to really make sure that you have that support, where you have that opportunity and the encouragement to reach out to us for any questions that you may have any step of the way. We engage our current and alumni fellows to share their experiences as Activate fellows to a larger audience. We provide excellent customer service to various stakeholders, including our academia, ecosystem, industry, and government partners, as well as our potential applicants to, again, promote the program to attract a diverse group of candidates. We support all candidates through the application process, including underrepresented communities, to ensure that everyone has access and support to this opportunity. And then finally, we collaborate with our Activate communities, that's anywhere Berkeley, Boston, New York, and Houston, on their local recruitment activities, either in the area or nationwide as well. And finally, just a plug, if you have any questions, you can always email us at apply@activate at any time throughout the year. We're available. Our team is available to answer anything that any questions you might have. So how do we engage? So we engage with universities, again, nationwide in a variety of ways. We target innovation and entrepreneurship centers where Activate can be seen as an additional pathway to commercialization. These could be the university-based or even college-based, as some engineering or STEM disciplines or colleges might have a center for entrepreneurship or innovation embedded within their college and not the university, but we try to target both of those based on our opportunities and the needs that we see. As we know, though, not all colleges and universities have the capacity or the funding at this moment to prioritize this for STEM disciplines. So because of that, we also target technology transfer offices within the university. If you have some IP generation or if you're talking to your TGO, definitely letting them know that there are other entrepreneurial pathways if we haven't gotten in touch with them already and they are on your list of resources. We also do college and departmental outreach to scientific and engineering departments, as well as other STEM disciplines, really, again, where we're doing the research and we're seeing the opportunities that arise in universities and colleges nationwide. We may also participate in climate or innovation focused events on campuses, like MIT's Energy Week or Climate Weeks at various universities throughout the country. And finally, our favorite thing to do is engage in person through informational sessions, lunch and learns, and educational programming available to student groups or the university or college writ large. We really love to build those relationships and talk to you all in person. But long story short, we engage with a myriad of faculty, staff, organizational student chapters, as well as students to identify the most aligned opportunities for us on campus and to get to you guys in person. And lastly, if you have any ideas or questions surrounding university or organizational engagement, or you want to get involved at that, if you're involved in some part of university engagement at your school and you want to get Activate on your campus, definitely send me an email and let me know. Let's talk about it. So we also do membership organizational recruitment as well. We engage with various scientific and minority groups, which are all shown here. I won't go through the whole list because that's a pretty extensive list and it's only getting longer. But our goals at these conferences and engaging with these organizations are really to, again, amplify the Activate Fellowship and get the word out to as many people as we can. But we're also looking to build the entrepreneurial pipeline and encourage those who might be at undergrad or even earlier stages to let them know that entrepreneurship is something that is attainable and it's a good career pathway as you matriculate through your degree program. We encourage this entrepreneurial pathway and recruit also for our nonprofit and our fellow technical employment positions. And then finally, we engage with innovations on site through upcoming, through poster presentations and other research and innovation focused sessions at these conferences. We love to engage with people there and definitely plug in the Activate Fellowship where necessary. But again, just kind of taking this step back and looking at entrepreneurship in general, that's really something that gets us engaged and energized. We have also taken a DEI lens to engaging with our organizations. If you might have noticed, you see a lot of minority serving organizations here. We identified this as a great opportunity to capture more underrepresented ethnic and racial groups by attending these minority-focused conferences, but we're also looking at more general, just high traffic, scientific, entrepreneurial, or kind of innovation or tech conferences to attend as well. And then for industry recruitment, it takes on a whole team approach. This is where our big conferences come into play, in which our partnerships team, executive team, finance team, and other departments of Activate can be seen in a larger capacity. Our fellows are also showcasing their tech at many of these technical conferences, as well as industry conferences. Last week, we showcased our first in-person demo showcase at New York Climate Week, which you can see right here. We typically have a historical preference and a larger presence at these conferences, as it allows us to capture many different audiences, from investors to university partners, interested applicants, and various organizations who are all either climate or sector focused. And this is how we assist you. Once you become an interested applicant and are looking to learn more about Activate, here's the ways that you can get engaged. As mentioned earlier, in all of our recruitment engagement, in-person visits are not only a growing part of our annual recruitment, but I think our favorite part of annual recruitment. You can find our presence annually at, again, major climate-focused conventions such as South by Southwest, New York Climate Week, San Francisco Climate Week, as well as Hello Tomorrow. We also will attend technology-focused conventions and conferences such as the ARPA-E Summit, Tech Connect, or Tech Crunch. And again, at any of these engagements or events, you can always ask us questions, engage with our team, and get more information on Activate and the fellowship. We have recruitment happy hours as well. You could always join us for these in-person events and get a chance to interact with Activate staff and sometimes fellows as well. These are usually unstructured events where you can engage with our team on a more personal level. Well, usually some communities will have these annually and some are kind of more bespoke opportunities, but I'll tell you more about how you can get engaged so you can find out how you can attend these events. Now we're getting into our virtual events and our webinars. So this is the first of our various webinars that you can attend all year round. General recruitment webinars are designed to give you a comprehensive overview of the Activate Fellowship, our benefits, and our requirements. We typically also invite fellows to these webinars to give a short overview of their experience so far in the program. But all of our webinars give you the ability to ask questions at any time by using the chat or asking your questions live. Now, our topical webinars are exactly that. Topics that include highlighting our diversity of fellows, more opportunities to ask us your questions, I'll say, and more. Looking here at the top, office hours is going to be another unstructured Q&A time with the recruitment team to really just get your questions out and answered by a live person of the Activate team. We also have Foreign Nationals office hours and other targeted office hours events, such as women's or BIPOC office hours, that were introduced to offer additional support to our underrepresented communities applying and foster facilitation between the groups for a richer support structure. We also offer one-on-one support by appointment and availability. We also have carbon management office hours that I will mention as well that deal with our carbon management initiative and imperative, really looking to get your questions answered in an industry-focused way as opposed to a racially or otherwise targeted focused way. Our fellow forums here at the bottom are a spotlight on the voices of our current cohort, really sharing their unfiltered experiences on life as a CEO or the intersectionality that they face at the intersection of science, family, gender, or race. These are really just good discussions to really, again, get this unfiltered look into the fellowship itself, into how these people are navigating the fellowship, both personally and professionally. And again, we're talking about family, we're talking about gender, race, we're really getting into a little bit of a harder issue, but I think also an important issue to highlight as these underrepresented voices are being highlighted and their experiences are coming more forth. And then finally, we have all about Activate, the power of STEM entrepreneurship. This is another kind of topical webinar that we introduced to really give another kind of deep dive, not an overview, but a deep dive into the benefits, kind of the structure of the Activate Fellowship to give you more information there. And for our community webinars. Annual community webinars are deep dives into the community structures and their unique ecosystems. You can meet each of the community teams in this webinar and hear from a fellow at their respective communities and hear about their experiences. We also deep dive into our carbon management imperative with the New York team, talking about the different carbon management mitigation strategies that you can apply with, as well as the additional resources available for technologies that fall under this vertical. But we do deep dives or the why series of each of our communities each year. And we go over in detail with each of our communities in each of these webinars. They pretty much follow the same structure for the most part. And then we have application preparation webinars. As the application season is in full swing, we like to take the opportunity to highlight the different aspects of the application, share best practices as you're preparing your application. This year, we're improving our application resources to bring you more webinars with application information to support you better throughout the application cycle. And finally, you might think, these are so many options. How do I keep up and how do I become aware of these events? I think the first and most important is that you sign up for updates at activate.org/apply if you haven't already. This is going to give you the way so you don't even have to worry about it or think about it. You're going to get the emails with all of our upcoming events. You can also check out our events page at any time to see anything that we have upcoming. You can also attend other webinars to get details. I like to tell people, again, as we're recording this webinar, they're mostly recorded, in which we will include the entire webinar. You can always go back and review. You can also RSVP if for any reason you can't attend. It's no slack on you. We usually send out the recording as well, just so you can still get that information. And sometimes we do, as more upcoming events ramp up, we usually like to premiere and promote those in our other webinars. You can also follow us on social media. On all of our platforms, our tag is at Activate Fellows, but there you can always get real-time information on upcoming events that we have. And if you ever have any questions on any events that we might have coming up, an idea for an event that you would like to see, again, you're always welcome to connect with us at any time. Finally, ways that you can prepare now for the Activate Fellowship. So a quick overview of our timeline. We're currently in this March-April span, so we're about to select our cohort 2024 of fellows. It's a very exciting time here at Activate as we get ready to announce our new cohort for the fellowship to begin in June. But we start this whole cycle over again in September when we open our application cycle. Our application is open for around 6 weeks, in which after it closes, you'll go, your application will go through a very rigorous selection process, going through internal, external reviews, credibility screen analyses, really taking a deep dive into your technology to really gauge the viability of your innovations. From there, you go to video interviews where you get to meet the community team that you were assigned to, in which you get another overview and you have to present a little bit more, so we really get to know you as well as your technology in these video interviews. From there, you participate in a finalist week where you will have to present in front of our ecosystem in a 7-minute presentation, again, going over yourself as well as your technology, how you kind of got to this point, and your plans for the Activate Fellowship. Once you finish finalist week, unfortunately, you all are waiting until you find out whether or not you have been accepted into the fellowship. And again, the whole cycle starts over when the fellowship begins in June. And we always like to open our doors to our new cohort with our big annual retreat. Finally, real quick, just going over the eligibility requirements for acceptance into the fellowship. You must have a bachelor's degree in 4+ years of post-baccalaureate scientific research, engineering, or technology development experience. You must be leading the commercial development of a hardware-based technology innovation for the first time if awarded the fellowship, i.e. not a repeat hard tech founder or serial entrepreneur. You must be committed full-time to the proposed project or company if awarded the fellowship. You must be legally able to work in the U.S. for the duration of the fellowship, and you must be able to communicate proficiently in English. Your proposed project or company must be based in the physical or biological sciences or related engineering disciplines. You must be in development and not yet ready for full product sales, and you must not have raised more than $2 million in debt or equity funding from non-governmental sources at the time of the application deadline. If you have any questions on any of the eligibility requirements, we're more than welcome to open that in the Q&A in just a few minutes. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A now because we have gone through and we've identified the top questions that you all love to ask. And so I'm going to go through and answer these right now for you. So I split them up into 4 buckets about the fellowship eligibility, the application process, and activate community. So to start at the top of the list, is a stipend per founder or total per team? The stipend will be for the primary founder only, but the second founder or co-applicant or affiliate fellow, if they're accepted into the fellowship, will be expected or encouraged to attend all community-related programming and events and participate in the benefits of the fellowship. Question 2, if the affiliate fellow is not funded, do they have to commit full-time? The expectation is that the affiliate fellow should be committing full-time. However, there is more flexibility on this for affiliate fellows. We encourage you to establish a clear pathway for participation and time working on the project with the managing director and fellowship manager if you're accepted into the fellowship. And then finally, how can you spend the research funds? Research funds are only available for research-related purposes or technical work. However, those details can vary depending on your fellowship sponsor as well as the qualified host lab. But in general, it's going to be only for research-related purposes and work. For fellowship eligibility, can I apply with a co-founder? We will support up to 2 applicants as fellows on a team. However, we do not bring in individuals as fellows who are first employees, but are also leaders of the project and company and have decision-making authority in the company. If you're a foreign national, are you eligible to apply for the program? Short answer is absolutely. If you have a pathway to legally work in the US for the duration of the fellowship, you may apply for the fellowship. How early is early stage? Early stage can be pretty early, but ideally you would apply with some proof of concept or some techno-economic modeling, and we'll have some resources in which you can learn from this on how you can build your techno-economic modeling or cost analyses, or get into that proof of concept. How do you get to the next stage if that might be lab results or maybe your first lab prototype? But any of those that I just kind of mentioned are going to be early stage enough for us to accept. What about your IP? Our agreements are designed to protect it. Our first priority is setting fellows up for success, which includes ownership over your IP. We help support you with any conversations that you might be having at the start of the fellowship or throughout the fellowship in gaining the ownership over your IP. Well, what about software technologies, medical or healthcare technologies and products? Are those eligible for the fellowship? Long story short, that's a big maybe. Software technologies can be acceptable if it shows value in one of the following areas. The core innovation is rooted in a scientific discovery. The application of the tech was unclear. The capital for the expenditure would need to be high, or the software innovation would need to be built into a hardware product. The impact potential was huge, or access and collaboration with research facilities that we partner with was essential to the success of your company. Any one of those, or I would say 2 or more of those, would warrant us looking more into your pure software plate. For medical and healthcare technologies, we do not currently support innovators who are developing pharmaceutical drugs, as we simply do not have the right support system or sponsors to support such products. However, we do support fellows working on innovations relevant to healthcare that is either non-traditional and cannot benefit from the existing funding pathways. We support life sciences and biological products more often than we do medical devices, but that can also be situational if you can convey how the Activate Fellowship collaboration will be essential to your success. How much of a serial entrepreneur, if you've had maybe 1 or 2 exits with definitely more to learn, are you eligible or can you gain value from the fellowship? The Activate Fellowship education is designed for first-time founders. However, we understand that everyone's journey does not result in a successful exit or buyout. If you've read over the eligibility requirements, you've gone over the Activate Learn modules, and have attended some of our events to learn more and really gain a good understanding of what you can gain from the program, please don't hesitate to apply. However, you need to understand that you may have to elaborate more on the benefits you still have to gain from the fellowship within the questions on the application, and you might have to provide some justification. But you can always send us an email if you would like further information. Going over the application process, ideally, who should be the principal applicant and what are the expectations? Again, the principal applicant, primary Activate fellow in this case. They should be the person that is expected to lead the scientific research for the company and act either as the CEO or the CSO. They should have the scientific and engineering background, degree, as well as the 4+ years necessary and meet all other eligibility requirements to apply. For the expectations, they will be receiving, again, the funding. So they will be receiving the living stipend of $100,000. In that case, we do expect them to finish any outside employment, outside degree matriculation before entering in the fellowship, because you will be receiving the living stipend. You will also be expected to participate in weekly programming as well as any events that we have, but it's not so much of a requirement, but you would want to be there to get the education out of the program. You just don't want to be there to kind of do the research and go out on your way. We really have a ton of different resources and education for you to really help you build that entrepreneurial mindset and gain the business acumen during the fellowship that sets you up for success during the fellowship and even after. How critical is the techno-economic analysis in the application? It should be used as a guide to help answer some of the technical questions and guide your technical slides. However, it is understandable that you might not have all of this information depending on how early stage your innovation is. It is still worth, oh, sorry, how did I go forward? It is still worth It is still worth going through and trying to answer, or using brainstorming to help you answer some of these questions. They can only help more than hurt. But I would definitely recommend, from the next slide, we'll talk about some additional ways as you can bring other people in to really help you answer those questions if you need another brain or two to help you. Finally, the last two questions. What are the components of the application? The application will consist of some personal, general informational questions to get to know you and how you plan to add value to our cohort and your own fellowship experience. We will ask you questions about your proposed project that could include the technological advantage as well as the innovation advantage, as well as your business model viability. We'll also ask for supplemental information, including a presentation on your technology and the ability to include additional information to support your presentation and technical answers. Finally, we do ask about the state of your company currently. And just to note, if you have applied previously, we're not asking for letters of recommendation going forward, so you don't have to worry about that there. And then finally, for Activate communities, how do you decide where you want to start your company? Or in other words, how do you decide which company to choose? You should consider the place where you would like to live for the next 2 years, the resources the local ecosystem provides to science entrepreneurs or to your specific industry, what community you might be more aligned with, or where you feel your company has the best chance to not only survive, but thrive. If one community wants to pass on your application, it still always has the opportunity to be triaged or picked up by another community. But in your ranking choices with the application, that's how we work with triaging and passing on to separate communities. But essentially, you would choose any community in which that you meet that criteria, or that criteria kind of checks out for that community that you're looking into. And again, a full list of questions is available on activate.org at FAQ. So let's go into more about ways that you can prepare. You can make connections. You can talk to people, especially people outside of academia, network and find people who could add value to your project. That could be industry professionals, former CEOs and investors that are open to networking, other research in your area or in your expertise. Join groups, follow hashtags on LinkedIn or maybe Facebook that are related to your project if you aren't already. It's a great way to connect and network at any time. And then after you network and talk to people, then maybe you should think about teaming up with co-founders and advisors who can help assist you in grant writing, research proposals, or possibly even being a co-applicant when you apply for the fellowship. You'd also have an MBA or a business school graduate on your side to consult with as you think about how you want to enter the market, or when you have your first prototype, or when you're thinking about fundraising, if you're thinking about fundraising now. You should also be doing research in many different ways. You could do market research. So there's some questions I'm going to throw out. What is your value proposition? Who will your first customers be? What will be your beachhead market? What's your competitive advantage? What are the trends and growth in the market, if there are any? Have there been investment spikes, whether governmental or non-governmental, in your research area? These are the kinds of questions that will support you as you begin to frame your company's market potential. You could also build a back of the envelope cost model with our techno-economics course. Will it be economical? Is there proof that it is a sustainable product, or does it have a path past nowhere? What are the costs that you plan to incur to get to your prototype? These are the questions that you would want to be asking, again, as you continue to frame and really build out your market potential, and really thinking about your business model and how you want your company to grow. And finally, learning you are. There are a lot of programs, courses, blogs, videos, etc., about entrepreneurship out there on the internet, but also through Activate. You can visit activate.org/learn to again go through the technonomics course that I keep mentioning, as well as a myriad of other resources. We also love to highlight entrepreneurship in a myriad of different ways through our personal or company blog as well. And then finally, you can gain experience during this time. You can certainly consider other fellowships or maybe some short-term summer programs that will enhance your knowledge in beginning this journey. A couple of those that I will mention will definitely be the GEM Fellowship, Evergreen Climate Innovations, Plug and Play, Greentown Labs, Clean Tech Open, and your local or regional I-Core hub. You can join these incubators and accelerator programs for early stage technologies to really get that initial education. That'll really be a great way to set up your company, your company's model, your cost analysis. These are programs that are kind of designed to help you get to that point, which would be a great starting point. So then you could apply for the Activate Fellowship. And with that, that is all that I have. So I really wanted to open up the Q&A floor to you all, but we wanted to ask these questions as well. Now that you know or have a good idea and understanding of how we help you all, we want to know how you want to be helped. What support might be helpful to you as you're preparing to apply for the Activate Fellowship, and what topics are important to you as you consider embarking on your entrepreneurial journey. I'll leave this up for a few minutes as you all may ponder over these questions, but I will open up the floor. Just a couple of notes as we get into the Q&A. You can use the raise hand function at the bottom of the screen to raise your hand, and we'll call on you in the order that you come up on the screen. I'll also mention that we might have some questions in the chat that we will definitely be getting to as well by either responding or asking live. With that being said, I will hush and I will open up the floor to anyone who might have questions.
Great.
No question?
There's a question in here from Janice that says, oh, I'm sorry. I guess we have a couple in the question. Let me start with, okay, let's talk about Aditya. Looks like it says, would you be at a disadvantage if your company has already been awarded a grant like a phase 1 SBIR or something similar? That's a great question.
That is an amazing question. And the answer is absolutely not. So, when I talked about the $2 million in non governmental sources and debt and equity funding, those do not include SBIR and STTR funds, as that's money from the government. So, essentially, you can get as much government funding and grants as you want. Those do not count against that kind of $2 million mark. However, when I say something similar, it's talking of something similar that would not be acceptable on the other hand would be that debt and equity funding. When you think about that, I always go back to kind of family investments, maybe your first round of like fundraising, if you did any, some angel investments, something that has either a payback or an amount of equity in your company attached. That's where we get into that $2 million limit, but we're always happy to answer any questions about that. The next question I have is from Janice. What are your evaluation criteria? Who or how many judges will do the evaluations? I will say that this process kind of updates year by year. With that, I can give you some context in what we generally do. Once your application reaches, once you submit your application, the first step it goes through is kind of like a credibility phase to really see did you follow the instructions? Do you meet the actual requirements in your application, such as the degree and the years of experience? After it passes through that stage, then it is going to go into kind of a credibility screen stage, somewhat similar. Again, just testing and looking at the initial credibility of the technology. Once you pass that, you do go into an external review in which we do involve our ecosystem and subject matter experts to look over your blinded applications, in which they do not include any of your personal information, but only your technical information. I would say that these receive anywhere from about 3 to 4 reviews, all the way up to maybe 8 or 9. It really depends on the subject matter experts that we have available in our different pools that tie to our verticals. But this is really where your technical knowledge, well, your technology is judged. About the criteria, it gets into many different things, but essentially looking at the potential viability of the technology. Is it something novel or innovative that we do not see currently in that industry or space? Rick, feel free to jump in here if I'm missing anything about like the overall criteria. What are your plans for the fellowship, or how do you plan to use the fellowship to forward your technology's trajectory over the 2 years? Like, what is your goal at the 2 years, or where do you plan to be?
Yeah, and then again, I think you mentioned earlier, Kerrigan, about the questions about your own personal journey. Like, they definitely want to get to know you as a person and why you're interested in this, why you're interested in science entrepreneurship as a person and what skills you're going to develop, and whether or not, you have flexibility and you can pivot, and you can take the advice and feedback from the mentors in order to potentially pivot or expand your idea, if you need it. So there's definitely different rounds, like Kerrigan said. We have around a 3-person committee for each community who are the main deciders. So they're also reviewing applications. We have subject matter experts that we recruit to do more of the bigger rounds of review of your applications. So that goes through many different stages of subject matter experts who are really evaluating the full scope of your entire application once you submit it. Yeah, I think you covered the rest of it. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Alrighty. So you have another question. Are people who are self-employed in their own early stage LLC not making money yet accepted? Or are applicants affiliated with a university preferred? Applicants with university affiliation are not necessarily preferred. We also try to do industry recruitment in our different ways. I will say we're trying to get better with that to identify the different ways that we can get out to industry professionals. But certainly, you do not have to have incorporation to apply for the fellowship, but you can certainly apply if you have already incorporated your company. Again, with that company incorporation, we just kind of look at making sure that your company has not started product sales yet and you have not reached that limit in your debt or equity funding from non-governmental sources. So just trying to make sure that you aren't too far along in your fundraising as well. But again, I'll say we reach, as long as you meet the requirements, no matter where you are in your career stage, as long as you have the idea and you can meet the requirements, you're more than welcome to apply. Next question. Does Activate provide lab facilities for conducting experiments? So we don't provide the lab facilities, but we get you in touch with the right people and the different lab facilities that can fit your needs. So we do have lab partnerships, lab relationships, and just ecosystem relationships within our local in residence communities. So we will have a list of different workspaces in which you can go and view them and talk to the labs to really see what fits your needs. When you think about our virtual community with Activate Anywhere, that's more so a little bit on you because you will be in your own community. You're responsible for kind of finding that lab space, but we do support you along with that, along the process. The community team will definitely help you with any support that you need, any resources that you may need as you're looking for lab space or lab facilities. Next question. I work full time and have an idea that I am working on the side. How should I approach IP if my current company has an overreaching stance on IP? Rick, do you want to take a stab at this one?
I mean, I think the way that our fellowship is set up is that our expectation is that you will own your own IP once you start developing your own idea. And so we work with you closely to figure out what that looks like in terms of where you are right now. A lot of times that might look like licensing some IP from your current company or the university. But ideally, once you start hitting off the ground, you should eventually be creating. The expectation is that you are owning your own IP. And so as long as there's a break in what that looks like, it just depends on each situation. But we would have our managing director, if you're selected, our managing director in that community would help you kind of start figuring out a plan to make that happen. So hopefully, we've had pretty good success with helping folks through that process.
Thanks for that, Rick. Next question. Is there an initial discussion with the Activate committee before submitting the fellow application? So I would say that might depend, but generally no. I would say if you are at an in-person event or if you attend maybe a virtual event in which the community team is available and want to ask them a question, you're more than welcome to do so in that sense. But we generally do not set up particular discussions with the community teams. I will say if it's warranted, we could definitely pass messages along, but we really try to keep them out of the initial recruitment phase somewhat as much as we can. We understand that we can't keep them away 100%, but we try to keep that to a minimum. So I would say if you're attending an in-person event, maybe you can find their name and reach out to them on LinkedIn if you want to. Like, I can't stop you from doing that. But I will say that the recruitment team is here for really pretty much anything that you need. We're pretty well versed on the Activate communities, what they're looking for, what they need. So I would start with us first. And then if we have anything that we need to pass up to the teams, we're more than happy to do so.
Yeah, I think this is also just to add I think this is a capacity issue. We can't do this for every potential applicant. There's just too many of you, and there's not enough of the committees or our fellows or anything like that. But I think that ties in earlier what Kerrigan's presentation said is start talking to people now who are in industry, who've been science entrepreneurs. They should be able to definitely help you navigate your application a little bit more and what the requirements look like, in some ways to better message your the slideshow and technical vision that you have that you're going to submit to the application. There's certainly a lot of resources out there that you can find on your own.
Sure. Thanks. Alrighty, next question. What does the day-to-day look like as a fellow? How much project-specific mentorship is provided? So day to day for a fellow, you're essentially will be spending most of your time working on your company. And what that looks like is dependent upon your plan that you come up with your community team and more specifically your managing director. I will note that managing directors are former science entrepreneurs themselves that are really leading the cohort and the community as well. So they're going to be your main point of contact in providing that mentorship and real support that you need throughout the 2 years. Um, as far as project specific mentorship is provided, again, you and your MD kind of set those expectations and that relationship at the beginning of the fellowship. So if you know that you need that specific project mentorship or you're looking for that, if you can find it in your managing director and you all can have those robust conversations, that is absolutely wonderful. But I will also say that you have stipend funds available if you need some professional coaching as well. You do have availability to do that as well if you need to search out to get support elsewhere. But we do provide that mentorship at the end of the day. Next question. My technology is biological. Can you clarify what the hardware based requirement means or how that pertains to bio applications? Yes. So, with bio applications, again, there still needs to be, when we think about hard tech, in a general sense, it needs to be some kind of tangible or physical product. In that sense, like we don't take apps. We don't take, again, pure software plays. We like to have things that are tangible, physical, and can be embedded into the physical infrastructure of our world. Um, but that includes, germs, small cells, things of that nature. So I don't exclude those because we certainly have an entire chemistry and materials vertical to support that as well. So I would say kind of look there, look at the fellow companies under the chemistry and materials section. See if you see any alignment there, but we certainly do accept more biological science innovations as well. And
That is
beautiful. Thanks for dropping that link, Vic.
true.
All right. Next question. I am working on a software solution that integrates with large commercial building HVAC control systems for energy optimization. Is this a non-hardware technology that the Activate Review Committee would be open to considering? Um, Software solution that integrates with large commercial building HVAC control systems for energy optimization. I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with software. So it can be embedded into a hardware system, into a physical product. So it does check that box. But I think when we talk about the software solution for energy optimization, where is the competitive advantage there of, where are you optimizing the energy particularly? Is this a novel idea? I think that would be your next step to kind of think about. But I would say for software and more of these medical healthcare devices, we always try to do our due diligence. I would recommend you sending an email to apply at Activate with more information that you want to share on your technology so we can be really explicit, pass that information up if we need to, but really decide if the Activate Fellowship is a good fit for you. Next question. Is the work which is based on agricultural technology like organic herbicide eligible for the application? I think when you're thinking about herbicide, it does somewhat align and fit, but I think where's the impact there? Like what is it impacting? What is it improving? Is it something again that is novel or already on the market today? And if it's already on the market, what are you improving with this process? And then I would also think about the markets that you're thinking about entering. Like, is it specifically for houseplants? Could this be used on more of like a large scale farm? I would think about those couple of things, but essentially I would say because there are a ton of more organic herbicides on the market, but definitely herbicides in general, I would say where's the innovation coming into play? And then again, the next thing that I'm thinking about is what is the real impact there? But yeah, what Rick said, I really think it depends. So definitely send us an email so we can get more information there. For the Next question, what an integration of AI into product design software with the intention of elimination engineering chore would be eligible? I'm going to also preface this question by saying that Rick and I are not scientists and engineers. While we have gotten some courses, some things just, I know that that went straight over my head. So, in the case with elimination engineering chore, send us an email with some more information on your technology. In the case that we don't know, which is sometimes, we definitely send this information up to our team of scientists and engineers who can give us more information and really decide again if the Activate Fellowship with your proposed project is a good fit for you. And then last question, how many applicants have there been in previous years? Oh gosh, probably a couple of thousand. I will say that we keep hitting record application years in applications and applicants each year. We keep going, and I don't think that that is going to stop now. I would probably say a couple of thousand. Some additional context, our acceptance rate is about 10%. When you think about it, we accept about 10 to 12 applicants and or teams because there can be teams of two to each community per cohort per year. So you're going to have two cohorts per community per year. So it's going to be around 20 teams or around 20 people to answer your question there. And then last question, and then we will wrap up. Do Activate members spend the 100K fund for lab facility, or is it at a discounted rate or even free if Activate has a partnership agreement with them? Do Activate members spend the 100K? So again, the 100K R&D is for research related purposes. I want to say that that can be used on your lab facilities, but within all of this, I don't think that it's good to get into the numbers and details with all of that. With the lab partnerships and relationships that we do have at our in-residence communities, I will not say that they will be free, but they could be at founders friendly terms, discounted rates. There might be some benefits to getting that lab, especially if we have recommended them and have a partnership with them, but it definitely depends. What are the labs that Activate has agreement with in California? So that's going to be the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab is going to be the lab that we partner with there. But again, if you have different needs potentially, then that would depend on talking with your community team about your specific needs, and maybe if you're looking for something different. With that, I'm going to share my screen very, very quickly and wrap up once again. Thank you all for joining us today. It was so great to talk to you all about how we engage with you all and how we can support you all in the future. Again, if you have any questions in the future, you can always email apply@activate.org for general questions and applicant support. Rick and I's email is also down below as well. Please take them down if you have any questions for university partnerships or applicant support. That would be me. And then just general applicant support. If you need Rick for any reason, if you can't get through on the Anywhere apply at Anywhere email or mine, you can definitely reach out to Rick if you have any questions. But with that, I wish that you all have a good, sorry, I'm trying to stop my screen from sharing. I hope you all have a very good Friday, a good weekend if you are celebrating the holiday. I wish you well and welcome you to come back to our next webinar next month. We'll have more details on it soon.